Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out a new channel. We're going to be checking out Bumbles McFumbles, and today's video is called Which Team Fortress 2 Mercenary is the Biggest War Criminal. I cannot wait to watch this. It's been requested a few times, and I hope this is going to be awesome, man. So thank you so much to everybody who's been liking and commenting and supporting the channel here. You guys are really, really awesome, and I cannot begin to tell you how much I appreciate it. And if this is your first time stopping by the channel, do not forget to hit that sub button, please, and thank you. And let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay.
Team Fortress 2 might have sneakily become one of the most influential games of all time. Everyone's either heard of TF2 or sunk a decent amount of time into it. You might have seen a meme or a bit of gameplay. You might have even played a game with TF2's fingerprints all over it. Like any team-based shooter in the last decade.
Oh.
Yet as they come and go, TF2 persists. Why is that? Is it the exciting gameplay? The sleek and appealing visual style? The constant support from Valve?
Oh.
Nah, but seriously, what I think makes TF2 stand head and shoulders above the rest of its genre is its character. Other teams...
I was gonna say, I mean, I haven't played a ton of other like team-based shooters like this, but the reason that I love TF2 so much is not only the characters are just hilarious, but all of like the lore and all the videos we've watched about TF2, especially coming from like Meet the Team and things like that. They're just so good, so funny. And the game is pretty fun itself, but, when you got a really, really fun game to play and you have these awesome, funny characters with, like, tons of videos to go watch if you choose to do so, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why it's lasted as long as it is. And the hats. I think people love the hats. They love the cosmetics. They love being able to trade hats and what's not. So I think between how fun it is, how awesome the characters are, obviously the hats, the being free to play, the great, videos you can go watch about if you want to learn more about it. I think that has a lot to do with just how awesome the game is and why it's still continuing to go on to this day.
Shooters will give you characters with deep and complex motivations as to why they're fighting, intricate character webs that try to tie together a massive world with just a few representatives. TF2 is about 9 people who vaguely tolerate each other when not outright insulting one another.
Yeah.
Scotland is not a real country. You are an Englishman with a dress.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the characters themselves are just vastly different from something else you would see. Like it is just there's just something special there about TF2 and their characters.
I'm owning you, you fat, bald, fatty, fat.
This is Scout. Rainbows make me cry.
You got a Boston bad boy with a penchant for doing more damage with his mouth than with his gun. A Bo Australian who's just as likely to turn your brains into wallpaper as he is to piss on you. And a black Scottish Cyclops who can 1-2 combo you with explosive grenades into Claymore. All of these characters have endeared themselves to the general public to the point that you might forget the fact that each and every one of them is a violent sociopath who has killed before and will kill again. Yeah, I feel like the babification of these men kinda takes away from the fact that they are contract killers, and in some cases deliver a fate worse than death. So I got to thinking, which TF2 character has committed the most war crimes? Now, the label of a war crime sounds really heavy, but trust me, when we get into the specifics, these people are earning them like candy.
Okay.
So to lay some groundwork, we're going to go off the definition of war crimes as defined by the Red Cross. See, if we go into exactly which crime each merc commits, it's gonna be kinda difficult. For instance, it's illegal in war to shoot an enemy who's shown themselves to be of no threat without a way to defend themselves. At the end of every round of TF2, the opposing team is made to be big crybabies who you can mow down at your leisure. It's also a big no-no to fire on medical personnel. And that would just make pocketing soldiers and heavies even harder to deal with. So I can't feasibly measure each war crime in terms of action. What about the only other thing that has as much personality as our beloved mercenaries? Their weaponry! In the rules of war outlined by the Red Cross, there are 11 distinct classes of weaponry that are not allowed in war. We'll go over them one at a time and judge their loadouts based on what weapons they possess that would be counted as a war crime. First up is serrated weapons. Serrated weapons, like a modified bayonet, cause undue suffering to someone unlucky enough to be stabbed with them, and as such, they're banned from conventional warfare.
Okay.
Now, the exact definition on what counts as serrated is a little hard, but I feel confident in my ability to use my eyes that I can tell you which is which. First person to break the rule is Pyro with a sharpened volcano fragment. Yes, to TF2 fans, you must be asking how the volcano fragment is considered a crime in any other realm other than game design. Well, those ridges along the blade mean that whatever little more damage is done is more than necessary. After that, we skip a whole 3 classes as medic comes next. The stock bone saw and amputator are both by nature serrated.
Oh.
They are saws after all. The use of such equipment is already contentious, but for this rule, it's even worse. Snipers, tribesmen, shivs, and spies, Black Rose, both fail in this category, which means that medic leads the pack with 2, with pyro, sniper, and spy all tied for second.
I am loving this so far. This person, Bumbles McFumbles, I believe. I love this so far, man. It looks like they're going into like great detail about it. This is great.
That is, except for the secret bonus war crime, thanks to the all classes item, Pretty Blade. Thanks to Disgaea, everyone here is getting an extra 20 years at least added to their prison sentences. After that is barbed weapons. While you normally associate barbs with barbed wire, the definition of barbs is simply an additional piece of metal that assists in the tearing of flesh. So for something like, say, Scout's Boston Basher, that would be a barbed bat, seeing as those spikes aren't meant for hitting home runs. As well, the Sun on a Stick has a bunch of nasty spikes for filling someone with more holes than a casual pub team's forward push. Sold and Demo both earn 1 for the Pain Train, which they share between each other. If a giant railroad spike was enough to punch a hole in a human body, the bunch of jagged, bent nails would definitely send the right message.
Yeah.
Pyro has the obvious one of the axe extinguisher. It's very literally just an axe with barbed wire wrapped around it, but I'm willing to stretch the definition of barbed for the back scratcher, given the fact that raking with a rake will happen whether you mean it to or not. For heavy, I really went back and forth on if the warrior's spirit counted, since it's bear claws that will definitely tear up the body, but they're not metal. Ultimately, I gave it to him since it's not like he's gonna do much with those 20 years of freedom anyway. He was also gonna get it anyway for the eviction notice being a pair of spiked brass knuckles. Finally,
Yeah.
NG's Southern Hospitality has incredibly useless spikes on the side that have no chance of ever hitting somebody. But it shows up in the kill icon, so it counts. The support classes escape crime-free. We can actually eliminate the next 3 categories as they revolve around expanding ammunition, explosive rounds, and poison. For all the weapons in the game, none of those descriptions fit. Demo's pipe bombs aren't round, they're lobbed projectiles, so they land in a whole different group altogether. What is illegal, however, is a weapon meant to inflame your wounds. What exactly this means in terms of TF2 is a little hard to define, but I narrowed it down to the few items that make your opponent take more damage.
Okay.
First is beloved return Madman Pyro and his gas passer. This dented gas can is actually breaking the laws of warfare by making your opponent take more damage from Pyro's flamethrower. Also, if Pyro wasn't in the inflaming category, I'd have been really sad. I mean, come on, it's not like there's a fire category coming up. However, the king of making things go from bad to worse is Sniper. The yellow belt master of Jarate flings it with reckless abandon, making you more vulnerable and waterlogged with another man's piss. Not only does the eponymously titled weapon utilize this stuff, but the rifle the Sydney Sleeper will coat you in it from long range. So now both Pyro and Sniper are getting up there in terms of violations of human rights.
Okay.
Chemical warfare is up next, putting somebody through the periodic
Yeah,
table.
I've been playing TF2 for a few months now, and I've never once thought like which one of these is the biggest criminal. Like which one has the most stuff? Which one's done the most stuff? You know, and I never thought about it. This is so interesting to see.
It's a big no-no, and there are only 2 mercenaries who this applies to. Pyro's getting called back into the principal's office again as a repeat offender, as the gas of the gas passer is a chemical and illegal. However, that doesn't hold a candle to the real master of chemical warfare. See, the medic uses a variety of chemicals in order to utilize his strongest maneuver, the Uber Charge. He'd be lucky if Meet the Medic was all that existed to explain the origins of Uber Charge, but sadly, NATO leaked the original work in progress Meet the Medic, where we see the concoction that keeps these junkies on the battlefield. So whatever, Uber Charge is breaking a few international laws. It's not like he's got a bunch of weapons tied to it, right? How many? So that means that every single one of Medic's weapons tied to Uber is in some way a war crime. That means every Medigun, the Uber Saw, the Vita Saw, Overdose, and Amputator are all grave breaches of international law. Because of that, Medic shoots way past everyone else, making them look less like this and more like this. If you thought the last section might have been a bit of targeted bullying, wait till you hear about this one. Anti-personnel landmines, you already know where this is going, are outlawed in combat. Being a bomb meant specifically to injure or kill a person is a no-go. Now, is there any class you can think of that uses bombs to kill people in particular? Why, yes, I can. I think there is one. Scout! Yes, in the official definition of anti-personnel landmines, they include a description that talks about bombs meant to disperse broken glass along with shrapnel.
Okay.
Like the broken glass that the Rap Assassin launches when it hits an opponent with a bulb. Now, who'd have thunk that that little speedster could have snuck in a shot in a section meant for Demo Man? Yeah, so you can probably guess Demo Man is kind of the star of this part of the list.
Makes sense,
sticky bombs,
yeah.
by their nature, are anti-personnel landmines. Considering they also damage buildings, though, you might be tempted to give them a break, but no such luck. The primary purpose of these things is to turn people into chunks. That means the Sticky Bomb Launcher, Scottish Resistance, and Quickie Bomb Launcher all land our Demo Man in hot water. You may also be asking about the Sticky Jumper, but that actually can't deal damage to enemies, so it's not anti-personnel. Use it all you want, Demo! There are 3 other examples I want to go over for the sake of being a pedantic jerk, however. The Iron Bomber is a primary grenade launcher meant to have a low-roll limited range bomb. So it fires bombs that don't explode very far and stay still when planted. Kind of like a mine. The TF2 wiki even refers to the strategy as such, so I don't feel bad about this one. And why not? The bottles Demo Man has can break and would leave glass. My list, my war crimes. Maybe don't try and glass people in a war zone next time. Next up is nuclear armaments. Obviously, it's not very kosher to try to nuke people, especially with a weapon you can hold in your hands without protective gear. Not like they're gonna live long enough to feel the effects anyway. So you may be asking what nuclear weapons there are in TF2, and the answer is one that I kinda had to play with. So we know for a fact that the Gord bot weapons like the Cow Mangler and Pomson are indeed nuclear weapons, but they seem to be the only ones that mention that fact. However, because of the weapon's special property that disintegrate whatever they kill, I'm willing to extend the definition that any weapon that causes a disintegration is a nuclear weapon. With that information, please let me know, what class do you think has the most nuclear arms? Would it be the hysteric and crazed soldier? The man of science medic? Pyro because, well, it would probably be Pyro? Or what about...
Yo, what's up?
That's right, Scout has 6 unique...
Scout?
Or, I suppose, sort of unique weapons. Let me
Okay, 100% was not expecting him to say Scout.
explain. So, in terms of the disintegrators, that includes Scout's Capper and the Beat Saber, as well as all 3 of his drinks. The Bonk, Criticola, and Mad Milk are either drinks that have been irradiated or made with radiation. And if you know Scout's loadout, you know that the Soda Popper is a force of nature that's had a can of Criticola taped to it, making it, by extension, a radioactive weapon. Soldier you'd expect to be dumb enough to have a nuclear weapon only has 2 in the form of the Cow Mangler and Righteous Bison. Pyro is in a similar boat where the very innocuously named Man Melter ends up melting men, as well as the Phlogistinator. Fans of WM1 Pyro are in shambles by this news. Engineer, like I said, has the Pomson and shares Scout's Kepper.
Oh, also, the short circuit. I definitely included the short circuit. And I'm recording this on the Tuesday before the video goes up because I forgot about the short circuit that can disintegrate enemies. Definitely didn't forget about that. Lol, love you all.
And the Sniper is a variation on the Machina, the Shooting Star.
Oh, that looks really cool.
Made at home, and you have no idea how hard it was to judge this category. So if the rules of war were meant to help regulate combat in order to stop people from tearing each other apart like feral raccoons fighting over a wounded squirrel, a weapon that hasn't been approved by any world government, much less military company, is a big problem. But you see, it's not that easy. Basically, the problem I ran into was with weapons like the Back Scratcher, Neon Annihilator, and Hippocrates Oath. Obviously, these aren't weapons. They're things being used as weapons, but does that count as a homemade weapon? Does the misuse of a common object mean it's being remade into a weapon? I spent literal hours mulling over if it does or does not count. The decision I came to was that yes, if the weapon was never intended to be used as a weapon of war, then it's something that would be illegal. With that being said, starting off with Scout, we have the modified weapon of the Soda Popper. This one is easy because it's taking a weapon that is totally fine and just taping a can of illegal soda to it. Then you have to go to his melee weapons for the rest. The Holy Mackerel is just a fish wrapped up in a newspaper. Not only is it an illegal weapon, but it's also wasting food. The candy cane and the rap assassin are both fun, festive holiday accessories that the Scout is using to beat people to death. And trust me, the fact that the candy cane drops health packs made me almost not count it, but this was during like hour 3 of me figuring out if it was going to be counted or not, so it's going in. Soldier gets lumped in as well, as the pain train is just a stick with a railroad spike and some nails put into it. And in a rare in-lore homemade weapon, the publicity blurb on the Beggar's Bazooka says that Soldier made it himself. The Demo Man not only has Soldier's pain train, but his bottles were never meant for combat, no matter what you hear from any given bar in Scotland. His other weapons are even more interesting, though, as the Nessie's 9-iron is a piece of sporting equipment that just so happens to be the proper length necessary for a bludgeoning. Finally, the Charge and Targin is the only shield that isn't a shield. the other ones demo can use were all designed to be shields. The Chargin', while part of the best demo loadout, isn't a real shield, just a ship wheel that he strapped to his arm. The Heavy made his weapon at home in the most metal way possible by ripping the paws off a bear and strapping them to his own to make the warrior's spirit. Before you ask, by the way, since we're at him, you're probably asking about NG's buildings. He says that they're designed by him, built by him, and by that logic, wouldn't that make them homemade? Well, no, because the buildings are simply his creation that he brings to the battlefield. He got his buildings officially licensed by Manco since they can be built from the PDA. That's like saying the man who invented the AK-47 wouldn't be allowed to use it in battle. However, Medic... Ooh... Like I said before, Medic invented Uber, and you'd think I could make the same excuse for Medic that I just made for NG, right? Well, not quite. Since we see Medic make his Medigun, we have conclusive proof that he made it at home. By extension, you could probably say that all Mediguns and all Uber weapons we mentioned before are in the same boat as well. And on top of that, the bust I mentioned earlier, and Medic has already had the most banned weapons so far. It's almost a little silly to mention anybody else after that display, but we're still talking about it. The Razorback is a shield that has a car battery attached to it, the Cozy Camper is just his backpack from his first day at school, and the Girardi is most certainly homemade. On top of that, Spy has one item from home, that being the bit of ice hanging on his rearview mirrors from his car that now he's aligning spines with. And that's all the classes! I mean, there's one other one, but like, it's not even a big deal. Like, who even plays him? Not me, obviously. Like, I probably don't have like 0 hours put in that character, so let's just move right along. And okay, you got me, I skipped Pyro. So this is a case like the Beggar's Bazooka where we have in-universe confirmation that the Pyro uses a homemade flamethrower. That's bad enough on its own, but what's worse is that his other flamethrowers are variations on the original flamethrower, and that means they're modifications of the original homemade flamethrower. In total, for his primaries alone, flamethrower, degreaser, and backburner are all automatically big no-nos. But that's not all! Nostromo's Napalmer is a double whammy. Not only does it fire napalm as the name suggests, but the weapon itself is based on a flamethrower from Aliens, which in and of itself was homemade! Even the Rainblower! The Rainblower is a weapon Pyro made in his imagination! The Flog and Dragon Stereo...
I love this so far, man.
This category by virtue of looking too well made for Pyro to have made them himself. But that's not all. Heavens, no. On top of his primaries, he has the detonator, which is a modified flare gun, and his melee weapons. Oh God, his melee weapons. Extinguisher, an axe wrapped in barbed wire, power jack, a car battery on a stick, neon annihilator, back scratcher, postal punisher, all stuff he just picked up off the ground. The lolly chump isn't even real. So, yeah, Pyro is making a massive problem for himself because he just won't let people make weapons for him. But at least now, after all this funky weapon shenanigans, we can get on to the final Oh my god. Oh my god. The new TF2 update! Oh my god, there it is! They haven't updated this game in half a decade, but it's finally here! Finally, let me see the changes! Okay, oh yeah, they made the sharpened volcano fragment deal 100% more damage to spies cloaked as other spies. Nice, nice! Oh, they made the lock-in load make every demo man who uses it have a limb so they actually need that crutch! Oh, thank God, oh yeah! Incendiary weapons are outlawed in war? Oh god, oh man, oh god, oh man, oh god, oh man, oh man. There are a few different weapons that are affected by this change. For instance, the Hulong heater creates a ring of fire around the heavy. Gotta keep those pesky spies away. Kind of like the particular weapon used by the soldier. Cowmangler can inflict afterburn, which means it's incendiary and therefore counts as a fire weapon. Okay. Kind of like the flame-throwing weapon like the Huntsman, who can have its arrows set on fire with the torches in the environment and... Okay, fine, let's just talk about Pyro. So it would be kind of rude to go over all the Pyro weapons that this ban affects. If you were to make a build under these parameters, Pyro would not have a primary, would only have the shotguns, jetpack, and gas passer to use as secondaries, which is both redundant and insulting, and worst of all, you would lose access to the sharpened volcano fragment! I don't want to live in a world where that's happening! So just like the last category, Pyro has 12 weapons that break the rules of warfare, giving him more war crimes in this one category than some mercs have overall. Fitting, seeing as they're a psychopath. I mean, not like the other psychopaths, like a psychopath that's slightly more Let's just get on to the next part. So while the weapons have been thoroughly combed through, there is one more section of the TF2 universe that I feel like has ripe potential for crimes. The comics! And no, I'm not talking about the fact that they're unfinished, which is a crime in and of itself. Valve, stop making technology that people outmo within 20 minutes of getting and make a game! Any game!
That doesn't count and you know it.
Thankfully, someone else has taken a break from blowing bubbles with their spit long enough to think of the same idea, and Sir Reynolds III on Reddit has gone through painstaking detail to count the crimes across the comic, and I'll present them to you now. Scout has been known to stalk and make advances on women, including girls on the track team for a high school he did not go to, while being over 18, and they were under 18. This was supposed to be a fun video. Let's watch him die again. He's also guilty in assisting in the murder of Santa Claus, which it's kind of funny to hold this one murder to higher scrutiny than the other ones, but I want a PS5, and if Saint Nick can't get me one because he's 6 feet under, I'm gonna raise some hell about it! And he also mentions that the mad milk isn't milk, and it could count as sexual assault, but I refuse to think that Scout is hawking love custard at his opponents. What could possibly be in the restock closets to refill that thing? Soldier!
Man.
Genocide! Wait, genocide? How? He's one guy! Well, following World War II, Soldier went to Germany to eliminate Nazi scum. But it seems he wasn't ever told that not every single German person was a Nazi and began indiscriminately murdering civilians. Since he was exclusively targeting the Germans, this falls under the purview of genocide. On top of that, you got him breaking and entering into Tom Jones's house, as well as the murder of Tom Jones for murdering Tom Jones. He also assisted in the gangland assassination of Father Christmas.
Wow!
If you can believe it, the pyro may have set something on fire. That's mainly down to them having the diagnosis as a pyromaniac, meaning that they would have had to have set something on fire in order to get a distinction. Demo Man doesn't have too much, actually. Worst you have him down for is public intoxication. Same with Heavy. As long as you don't count escaping the Russian gulag that he was trapped in and murdering all the guards, thus becoming an enemy of the state of Russia.
Okay, that might be a big one.
Taking place in, though, I'm pretty sure that's a net positive. However, being a Russian at all does mean that history's grumpiest grandpa, John McCarthy, will slam him with his signature move, McCarthyism, landing him at least 5 years in jail. Engineer is the most boring class to play, so of course he has the most boring crime of corporate espionage. Stole some weapons from Blue Man. Oh, boo-hoo, boring. Moving on. Medic! Well, we don't even have to go into the comics for this one, as Medic admits to losing his medical license and is therefore illegally practicing medicine. I also guess that negates the point from the beginning where you can't fire on the medic. Gun him down all you want! He's also profiting off stolen goods as he's in possession of every other merc's souls. And speaking of those black market goods, like his immortal human soul, his wide variety of animal parts were no doubt gotten through illegal means. He's also guilty of kidnapping as he took a random thug and turned him into a pumpkin.
Man.
Somehow the pumpkin part is totally above board, but the kidnapping is—
I do need to read or watch a video of somebody, publicly reading these of the comics. I started watching them where the original voice actors for the game were reading the comics. I dubbed the comics, so we did watch a few of the comics, but I gotta catch up on them. They were awesome.
It's disgusting. Sniper is a lot of things, but a crazed gunman is not one of them. He's an assassin, and he probably shouldn't have admitted that, since that's a big crime to kill people for money. He's also creating homemade booze since he slips Demo Man his own homemade moonshine. Given what else Sniper is making in those jars, I wouldn't drink it regardless. Speaking of that, dousing someone with your own piss no doubt falls under indecent exposure.
Yeah, I was like, there's gotta be something there.
Indecency. It's also no wonder that his parents are disappointed in him. He's wanted for attempted murder rather than flat-out murder, as he doesn't succeed in killing Miss Pauling and Demo when they come to find him. Finally is Spy, another contract killer who not only kills for money but also in self-defense when he gets sent to prison. He steals intelligence from both Red and Blue Team, threatens to murder a judge, launders money, and one of the key items, the disguise kit, allows him to impersonate anybody and steal their identities. This includes Tom Jones, and as a result, Tom Jones, or rather the estate of Tom Jones, would have grounds for the misuse of his image.
Dang. So much to take in.
Now it's time for the main event! Which of these men will die in prison? Starting off with the lowest and going up. Last place with only 6 crimes is Heavy.
Okay.
Sentencing for a war crime, which is 20 years. That means he's got a 120-year sentencing ahead of him. After him is Angel with 8 crimes, landing him 160 years. After him is inexplicable inexplicably spy with only 10 crimes and a clean 200 years. Makes sense, his job is to not get caught, and he wasn't caught. Equally surprising is Soldier with only 14 crimes and 280 years in prison.
Dang!
We have 15, 16, and 17 crimes each, with Demo Man, Scout, and Sniper each getting 300, 320, and 340 years in jail respectively.
Wow.
Then with a shattering 25 crimes is Medic, who manages to get sent away for the next 500 years.
500 years!
Finally, with a massive 35 war crimes is Pyro, who will go to jail for the next 700 years.
700
All that
years.
jail time, and assuming they don't get the death penalty, the Mercs will be in jail for a combined 2,920 years. Or, as some of you may have noted, more time that has passed since the birth of Jesus Christ.
Wow. All right, dude. That was awesome. That was awesome. That was the first time I've checked out Bumbles McFumbles. That was which TF2 Mercenary is the biggest war criminal, of course. I will put the original video link down below if you want to go check out their channel for yourself. And please do, because that was awesome, man. I really enjoyed it. Very funny. Definitely something I've never even thought about, but it was so awesome. Someone made a video on this. This was great, man. So thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, be awesome to this video with a like. It really helps out the channel here. If there's anything else you need to see me react to, you're more than welcome to put it on the comment or in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to put it on the list to make. So that's all I got for you. I will see you in the next video. And do not forget, man, it's Orc Army for life.